You know, about 99.99999% of the time, this show is going to be about Pittsburgh's NHL franchise. Not this one. Not this one. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins, for real. And it comes your way bright and early every weekday morning. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Pirates. But I know how hockey fandom works. It's different. The fans are cut a little bit differently. Yeah, you have a favorite team. Yeah, you have a favorite player or players. But for the most part, what you love is hockey. When there's a hockey game on, you watch whatever the hockey game is. And you're in all the way. You're playing, coaching, reffing, whatever it is. You love hockey. And I'm going to try to phrase this in a way that doesn't come across as deliberately dramatic, but your favorite sport is at a pivoting point right now. That's what you're seeing here. That's what's actually playing out. All this Tom Wilson stuff, everybody's mad at this person or that person, the Rangers fire their entire front office and everything else. These are all symptoms of a bigger issue. And that is that there are just enough people in just the right places at NHL headquarters who want to take this sport back to Cro-Magnon times in the 1970s and maybe even before that. And I can't fathom that this is happening, but I also can't fathom that people are just going to kind of quietly sit around and let it happen. There's obviously been some outcry, but most of it's been limited to New York. You know, everyone knew Tom Wilson's a scumbag. No news has been broken this week on that front. And everyone knew when they saw what Wilson did to Pavel Buchnevich and then to Artemi Panarin that the league wasn't going to do anything about it because it's got a thug as the head of player safety, of all hilarious things. And, of course, no news was broken on that front either when George Parros, via Colin Campbell, via ultimately Gary Bettman, said, yeah, $5,000 fine, that's okay. And at the same time, Rick Carpinello, who's been covering the Rangers for years, found out through a lot of the original reporting that's happened on this over the past week that they didn't even want to give, meaning Parros didn't even want to give Wilson a suspension for the Brandon Carlo hit earlier this season, the one that put Carlo out for 2 months. Parros was just going to give him a fine. And Bettman was the one who went to Parros and said, the optics aren't great on that. Original reporting by Rick Carpinello, who's been doing this for a long, long time. It's incredible, except that it isn't. Because this commissioner, when he took this post, surrounded himself with a bunch of these types. And yes, that includes Brian Burke, the Penguins' new president of hockey operations. He surrounded himself with a bunch of these truculence guys. And let's bring hockey back and let's keep it macho and whatever else. And there are people who vocally, behind the scenes, vocally bemoan the lack of rough stuff and fighting in the current game. And they're holding the keys right now. Not you, certainly not me. They are. They're the ones who watched last night at the Garden as there were 6 fights in the first 4 minutes and 16 seconds. They ended up with 143 penalty minutes. Buchnevich went after Anthony Mantha with a stick to the mouth. And you're watching this and you're thinking, well, Buchnevich is very much within his right to do that. I'm not saying that I thought that, but I guarantee you a lot of people did. And that the Rangers were right to do everything that they did. And to respond as they did.
I definitely think that we felt the need to take matters in our own hand a little bit. And I thought it was a great response. I think really showed a lot from our team. Obviously, we know they're a big, strong group over there. And hats off to them, too, for answering the bell and being up to the challenge, because I think they knew our frustration. And, we solved it. We, moved on and played the rest of the game. And I was happy with our group.
And even a guy like Pat Dolan, who might be a less popular owner of a franchise than Bob Nutting is in Pittsburgh, if you can even process that, Dolan looks like a hero because he at least issued the statement calling out Parros and speaking on behalf of the Rangers, and this is how this is going to be, and we're the New York Rangers, and you can't mess with us. And then when John Davidson and Jeff Gorton leak word out through Canadian reporters that they really had nothing to do with that statement, Dolan fires them on the spot. Which actually, you know what, he kind of should have, because that was a really Bush League move on the part of both JD and Gorton. Always, always, always stick up for your team first. But then that's part of the problem in the NHL. It's such a small, circular world. Everybody knows everybody. Nobody ever wants to tick anybody off. This portion of Daily Shot of Penguins is brought to you by Fubo TV. If you're paying for cable right now, you're probably paying more than $200 a month. Fubo TV is $65 a month. Comes with all the same channels, including AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Comes with free DVR. There's no such thing as installation. There's no contracts. There's no cancellation fees or anything like that. And best of all, for listening to this show, you get 15% off your first month just by going to FuboTV.com/DK. Once more, it's 15% off your first month by going to FuboTV.com/DK. Where is everyone else on this? We focus so much on what are the Rangers saying about this? What are the Capitals saying about this? Did you hear what Lars Eller said sticking up for Wilson? Did you hear what Mika Zibanejad had to say about how Wilson has no character? This is just repeating the same plot lines again and again and again. And nothing changes. And nothing will change until it is vocally recognized that Wilson is not an isolated problem to be discussed with isolated examples. Shane Gostisbehere of the Flyers was just given 2 games for boarding Mark Friedman 2 nights ago in Philadelphia. And Wilson got $5,000. As if Wilson's previous history never existed. Expunged from the record books. He's an angel now. Why? Because a certain amount of time has passed, and in the CBA it says that's okay. Why? Why are the rules always bent to favor that cretin? Why? You know why? Because no one ever speaks up about it in unison. This show is called Daily Shot of Penguins, so you know what? I'm gonna do a little bit of that here. Where are the Penguins on this? Yeah, I know they were off yesterday. They have a game, as I mentioned, tonight against Buffalo. So they'll have their first opportunity to speak on it, but it's not normal times. It's Zoom call times. And they'll bring like one coach out, usually Sullivan, before the game. You won't get any players. We'll see. I shouldn't go down that road. But where are the Penguins? Remember when Mario Lemieux was the leader on this front, and Mario blasted the Garage League for the way they handled that Penguins-Islanders fiasco a long time ago. You know why that didn't stick? Because no one else supported him. So here are the Penguins all these years later. A team in their division is combating a problem in their division. And the Penguins have forever espoused and believed in a certain brand of hockey, maybe more than any other franchise in the league. And they've been stone silent on this. I'd suggest that if the NHL finds Pat Dolan, that the Penguins and every other team in the East, obviously not Washington, picks up part of the fine. What a statement that would make. Where are the star players in this league? What are they afraid of? You know, Sidney Crosby spoke up earlier this year about inconsistency in the officiating as it related to Brandon Tanev hit. And it was rare air for Sid. He just usually doesn't do stuff like that. But he's always had that microphone, theoretically. He's always been able to say stuff and never has. Where are all the rest of these guys? Where's Connor McDavid? Where's Nathan McKinnon? Where are the bigger voices in this game? Comparing sports is always a little bit tricky, but I'm trying to imagine if something like this happened in the NFL or the NBA or even Major League Baseball. You'd have howls of protest from all over the place. There'd be... social media would be littered with athletes saying, "Whoa, what is this? Somebody's got to take care of this." In hockey, there's nothing. There's nothing. Nobody's saying a thing. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's how this commissioner and his cronies get away with this. And that's why everyone, including our nation's largest media market, watched that crap last night and thought to themselves, "Man, really? This is hockey? Wow. I'm not ever watching this again." When we come back, just one question. Welcome back. It's time for Just One Question, and that's brought to you on this program always by the good people at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, where $1 is all it takes to provide 5 full meals for those in need. If that sounds improbable to you, visit pittsburghfoodbank.org and spell all of those words out, pittsburghfoodbank.org, to find out how. $1 equals 5 meals at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. Today's question comes from Rick Gabler, who asks, "DK, looking ahead at the COVID makeup schedule, there are games on the calendar as late as May 19th, nearly 2 weeks after the Penguins complete their regular season. However, it's likely that there will not be a single game that affects playoff positioning after May 13th. Is there any chance the league cancels the meaningless makeups to expedite the start of the playoffs and limit the idle time of teams such as Pittsburgh?" Rick, this is an excellent question. And do you know why it's an excellent question? Because it still has no answer. See, we get all rough on the NHL about stuff like Wilson. The fact of the matter is, the Garage League thing goes across the board. They do everything wrong. They do everything backward. They don't know. That's the actual answer. I looked into this just yesterday because I'm trying to make plans for, not that this stuff is relevant, but I'm just telling you why I looked into it. I'm trying to make plans for our coverage. Nobody knows. If there's even a tentative schedule available to anyone, no one with whom I spoke seemed to be aware of it. Think about this. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. they really should be starting at some point next week. As you point out, there's a COVID schedule, and that's almost entirely because of the outbreak that affected nearly the Canucks' entire roster. But Vancouver's not going to make the playoffs, man. You know? And the rest of this is just for what? Positioning and seeding? Look, call it a season. Remember that contingency was always in place. That's the reason that you heard league officials way back at the beginning referring to the importance of points percentage. How many points did you get per game? That's still in play. Nobody took that off the books. You can just call it a season at a certain point and say, listen, this is nice and everything, but even the Canucks don't want to be doing this. So what's the point? As it is, because it's the NHL, and because the Canucks are a Canadian-based team, and because this almost entirely affects the North Division, I can't rule out that you would see something as insanely stupid as teams who've qualified for the playoffs, including Pittsburgh, sitting around for 2 full weeks waiting for meaningless games in an already shortened season to be completed. That's my answer, Rick. That is the league you follow. Best sport, worst league. I've been saying it for years. I probably should have trademarked it when I started because I've seen it popping up in other places. Best sport, worst league. Thanks so much for listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, and we'll do another one of these tomorrow.
At Point Park University, in the heart of downtown Pittsburgh, they understand there's no substitute for real-world experience and career-building connections. Their innovative curriculum engages students with distinctive experiential learning opportunities. Point Park's pioneering co-op program empowers qualified students to work in full-time, paid positions with their corporate partners while earning college credits. Visit pointpark.edu/works to learn more. Career ready. That's the point. Point Park University.
Your front door, your car, your gym locker, your gun. Safety is a habit. Learn more about how to keep guns safe and secure. Visit projectchildsafe.org.